If your brain always decides to yap after you turn the light off and are ready for bed, this video is for you. I'm going to talk about a sleep problem, a very specific one, where your brain is rebelling during the night when you are relaxed and ready to go to sleep, turn the light off, and then it decides to start a party, or it decides to turn into a scholar and start to think about the most profound, obscure problems. The world is quiet, your body is stilled, but the conversation in your mind is blaring. I've tried so many generic sleep advices, and they didn't really work. Because I know for this specific sleep problem, it all goes down to what your brain decides to think about when you turn the light off. If you have the same problem, first off, big hug. I feel you. And in this video, we're going to address this nighttime overthinking problem. Some of them may be controversial, and I will give you some practical exercise you can do tonight to help you to get a better sleep. So let's get started. But first off, why is this happening at all? Because if you understand the reason, the solution is going to make more sense to you. So during the night, the world is quiet and the distractions wind down. So the sound in our mind becomes clearer and louder, and your brain gets the chance to think about a lot of inner questions, which can be delayed during the day because other things happening. And when your brain starts to deal with the inner issues, this is what it may start to do. After a whole day of activities, your brain starts to become a judge. It will run through everything happened that day, what you did, what the results were. And the brain does not just review the activities, it starts to comment on it, it starts to judge it, which is why we usually come up with all crazy situations happening in the day. On the other hand, a new day is coming, so there will be a lot of to-dos and uncertainties, and your brain is worried about that as well. And when all of this is happening, your brain's dealing with the past, with dealing with the future, and your body is on the bed. You are not doing anything, which means even your brain come up with the problem that it feels like you need to go to solve it. You cannot do anything because you are on the bed, you are ready to go to sleep. The production is shut down, and that situation is what makes you feel anxious, and you feel like you are not doing what you are supposed to do, which no, you're not, because what you're supposed to do is to go to sleep. So your brain put you into a dilemma where you feel like you have a lot of issues to tackle with, but at the same time you feel like it's time to go to sleep. So either way, no matter which way you choose, it feels wrong. And back to the first point, the night is quiet, all these thoughts are happening in this quiet, almost a vacuum environment, and that just makes all this sound so loud, and you are submerged in all these thoughts. The result, you have that nighttime overthinking problem. So the real solution, you will think, is to quiet your thoughts, which technically is right, but you can't try to force it. You can't just tell them to shut up. It's not gonna work. What you really need to do is to give your thoughts something to hold on, something intentional. But before I tell you what worked, I want to talk about something that didn't work, because I have been fighting with this problem for so many years. I tried so many methods, and I want to share this with you to help you bypass all those detours. So what didn't work? My mom's advice. Sorry, mom. But yeah, when I was very young, around 12 or something, yeah, I had sleep problems from I was 12. My mom's advice was, try to imagine a very quiet, poetic scene. And my mom gave me a very specific suggestion, which was a placid lake with all those mountains surrounding it. And some elegant swans were drifting quietly on the lake. Very specific, and I trust my mom for everything, so I did that exercise. I tried so hard to imagine that poetic scene. You know what? Didn't work at all, and the little me was struggling to actually picture that scene, so didn't work. Sorry, mom. And another thing that didn't work was the meditation or sleep app I tried a few during my high school. It's better than imagining the poetic scene in your mind. It did help me to feel calmer, and sometimes it helped me to have a better sleep. That's true, but it didn't fit into my lifestyle. I just don't feel this natural to pick up my phone and do a meditation session before bed. It's just something that I feel so not me to do it, you know? Even if it works, it's really hard to turn that into a part of your life, which in a way, it's not really gonna help you if you don't even want to do it. And another thing, okay, this is a little bit controversial. Another thing that didn't help it was quitting phone or technology or internet. Most people will tell you that technology is bad for your sleep. You should turn your phone off, no internet, no scrolling. But that didn't work for me. I admit that as a Gen Z, the phone is a part of my life. Internet is a part of my life. If I force myself to quit it completely, if I had that pressure in my mind, it just make me uneasy. And if I force myself to not use my phone, my brain will keep thinking about all those things I didn't check, and that again gave me anxiety. I'm not saying that I will keep my phone on all the time. I turn my phone off when I actually go to sleep, but before that, when I'm on the bed, like say 20 minutes before I go to sleep, I like to check my phone. I like to make sure that there's nothing left on my phone. Everything I need to check is checked. And I'm going to talk about how to actually use purposeful scrolling to help you to go to sleep better. We will get to that in just a sec. And some other tactics I tried, including reading a boring textbook. First off, it worked perfectly. Every time I open my textbook, I read like one paragraph and I feel so bored, and then I will go to sleep. I mean, it worked, but I don't keep a textbook with me all the time, and I have graduated for so many years. So it's not gonna work anymore. And that just reminded me of another thing I did when I was in high school, which was doing math homework, doing math exercise. And that's funny that it worked very well and it made me feel so calm. There's no other thing to worry about in the world. There's only just those numbers and letters. But you know, that's I'm not going to do that. That's dumb. So we have talked about what didn't work, and now we are going to talk about what actually worked for me. And some of them may be a little controversial, but it will make sense. Trust me, it will make sense. So I want to start from the preparation. Start to prepare to go to sleep early. For me, it's after dinner. So after dinner, everything I do is a part of preparation for go to sleep. The point is to settle things down and to smooth it out. It's like the end of a movie, you know, the pace is gonna change and there won't be any new characters and won't be any new conflicts or plots. Everything just going to wind down and you want it to be quiet and smooth and just fading away. So start to do that a few hours before you actually go to bed. And another thing that relates to that is to turn the volume down. Everything, the TV, the music, if you listen to music, the conversation when you speak, when the others are speaking, try to keep all the volume down, because that will help your brain to sort of like calm down and become quiet. You don't want anything like shouting at you. Nothing loud is allowed. Still, a part of that preparation, set a time to turn everything off. TV, lights, music, everything. Set a time and stick to it rigorously. No excuse, no just another episode, no. Just turn it off when the time is there. When you turn so many things off, you still want to do something. And the thing you want to do is something that is engaging, that's something you want to do, but also very soothing, which means it requires you to be focused, but nothing's intense. For me, it's reading. So like I said, I will turn everything else off. No phone, no laptop, no TV, but I will keep my iPad on and do some reading, or sometimes just a book. And what I like to read is very specific as well. I don't read any fiction before bed. I would read something like memoir, or I like to read books about someone's plain and mundane daily lives. I love those kind of books. Or sometimes I read blogs on Substack. Something you feel therapeutic. You feel interesting enough to keep reading, but not so intense to evoke some kind of like emotional bomb. And you may have something else you like to do. Drawing, handcrafting. You know yourself better than I do. Find something that is soothing for you to do. And here's the controversial part. Some mindful scrolling. Yes, I have already talked about why turning my phone off didn't work to me. Or in my case, it's actually my iPad. But you need to be very careful and intentional on the thing you choose to scroll on. I think social media is a no-no. Definitely not Instagram, definitely not YouTube. I try to cut off social media completely during the night. What I do like to scroll on is Pinterest and food blogs. I love cooking and I have more than 200 cookbooks on my iPad, so I flip through them. And food blogs are one of my favorite reading material, to be honest. For you, it may be something very different. It can be art, it can be design, it can be fashion, plant, gardening, whatever. And I found out that my partner likes to scroll through cars before bed. So yeah, we all have our own preferences, but you know what I mean. But still, I want to make a point that I'm not saying scrolling is the best way to do or is something that you have to do in order to have a good sleep. I'm just saying that if you feel like cutting scrolling or cutting digital devices is so hard for you, and if you can find something that's actually calming and soothing for you to scroll on, do that. And on conversation, usually I will try to avoid conversation completely before bed, because I know myself, if I start to talk, I will just talk non-stop. But of course, I don't want to be rude or cold to other people. So yes, conversation will come up sometimes, but I avoid anything that is high stake, anything that will possibly incur some kind of conflict or argument or just different opinions. Nope, I don't want those things. I don't want anything serious. During night, the conversation is a chance for me to be very childish, just to be silly. Only talk about silly things as if you are a 8-year-old. For example, the things I would talk about is, what's your favorite dog? If you are a tree, what tree will you be? And what's your favorite pizza toppings? That's the only acceptable conversation before bed. This is something that requires teamwork, because if your roommate or your partner or your family, if they want to talk about something serious or intense, and once they start to talk about it, it's going to affect your thinking, even if you don't reply to them. So ask them to do the same thing. Just say, please don't talk about anything serious before bed. Let's just relax and make it a consensus. And now, finally, we've done all this preparation work. We've talked to our friends and family and roommate, and it's a time to turn the light off. And this is where things can go very, very wrong. Now the light is off. There's only you and your brain. What do you think about to ensure that nothing crazy happens? Remember, your brain needs something to chew on. You can't just tell it to shut up. Try to give your brain a command to just do nothing. It's not gonna work. I can't imagine how someone can keep their brain completely empty. So if your brain needs something to chew on, give it something soft. All the things that work have one thing in common. They are real enough to occupy you, but low stakes enough that your brain won't land anywhere stressful. I put all these things that you can think about before bed into 2 buckets. One is the small bliss, and the other is daydream. So small bliss means those things that are tiny, specific things happen in your life and make you feel happy or feel safe. For example, I will think about what I'm going to have for breakfast next day. And I will go into details. For example, I will think about how I'm going to prepare it, which pan I'm going to take out first, what is the sequence of every movement, and I will leave something undecided, but very trivial things. For example, if I'm going to eat blueberries or strawberries, honey or maple, and what kind of coffee I'm going to drink tomorrow. So all those very trivial things. And I usually fall asleep when I'm thinking about those trivial decisions. The other thing is, imagine the outfit I'm going to wear tomorrow. And again, I'm going to go into all the details, like every layer of my outfit, from the base layer, the sweater, the coat, and even which socks I'm going to wear. And when I still put makeup on, I will think about what kind of makeup I'm going to put, all those things. You get what I mean? And there's a bonus. Planning the breakfast and outfits, all these things, actually help your morning to be more manageable next day. And the other bucket, the daydream, it means something that you look forward to, but you have no pressure on what the result is going to be. I like to think about the cafes and restaurants I want to go around the world. I have a long list, and I will plan for my next hosting theme. Which, by the way, to be honest, I don't even host that much, but I just like to think about it. So I would go through the menu, the guest, the tablecloth I'm going to choose, the tableware, and the flower arrangement, all those things. And I have put some other ideas of things that you can think about before bed into a thing I call the Bedtime Mind Menu. And it's in the newsletter, where you can find the link down below in the description. So grab one for you and your brain. Okay, now we've talked a lot that we can do before bed. And if the sleep problem is persistent, like no matter what you do, it's still there, then I think you probably need to look at something beyond the nighttime, to look at everything you do during the day. So here's what you can do beyond the night to help you to have a better sleep. First is something I believe in so much, which is to keep a consistent routine. It doesn't need to be like super rigorous that you have a timetable of every 15 minutes what you need to do. But I like to keep some things very structured. For example, the time I go to sleep and the time I wake up, the time I have my 3 meals, and the time for shower, those kind of things. This is not for productivity or anything. The point is to reduce the uncertainty in your life and make your brain feel safe by giving it something to expect for. And on eating and drinking, I would suggest that to find your ideal dinner time. Don't eat too late or too early. You don't want to go to bed very full, but you don't want to feel hungry at 2 a.m. say. And don't drink too much water. I will start to drink very little water 2 hours before bed, and try to control your caffeine and alcohol consumption. I mean, this is something that you need to address to your own situation, but yeah, if you really have problem with sleeping, I will say try to cut down caffeine and alcohol for a while just to see if it's gonna help you. And sometimes maybe you are just going through a very stressful time in your life. You are facing a lot of problems. And during that period, we all have that tough time period, right? During that period, your mind is just, it just cannot relax 100%, which is fine. But if that's the reason why you cannot have a good sleep, I would say just stop worrying about your sleep completely, because you've already got so many things to worry about in your life, and worrying about all these things make you have bad sleep. You don't need to add another burden to yourself. If you have bad sleep for a while, it's fine. No one has perfect sleep every single day. And just try to focus on the bigger issue in your life. Try to sort those things out first and then worry about your sleep. Or maybe when all those things are sorted out, your sleep is fine again. So yeah, don't over stress on getting a good sleep. And here's a tip that helped me when I have bad sleep constantly and I always have that overstimulated brain. So this is the exercise where I document my thoughts. I will write down the exact thoughts I had that stopped me from having a good sleep, and I will review them and reflect on them the other day and ask myself, does it now matter as much as it did during the nights? Most of the time, it doesn't. And did I do anything productive on the thing I was thinking? Most of the time, I didn't. And would it be better if I just had a better sleep and to do it in the next day? Most time, yes. When I start to do this exercise, I write everything down, and that just gave me a clearer idea of what exactly is occupying me. And once you put them all down and look at it, usually you will find out, okay, this problem is actually not a big deal. And when you understand that with a solid evidence, which you just put down yourself, it just helped me to actually feel like all those thoughts are manageable or it doesn't really matter. And I would just stop thinking about them too much. Again, I will put this exercise in the newsletter as well. If you are having bad sleep constantly recently, try to do that exercise, and I think that will help you. So I've been talking about how to have a good sleep, all this exercise and suggestions and practices, but something very important to know is that having a good sleep shouldn't be a task. The point of having a good sleep is to recharge yourself and make the next day run better. Good sleep should work for you, not the other way around. If having a good sleep become a stressful task, you are just creating an unnecessary new problem. So, as someone who has been fighting against the sleep problem for more than half of her life, I would say do everything I just suggested and keep experimenting on different methods that's probably going to work better for you. But still, if you have bad sleep, just let it go. That's not the end of the world. There are still many other amazing things in your life. Be nicer to yourself, and I believe that will help you to have a better sleep. Anyways, that's everything for today's video. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Go check out the of our newsletter in the description, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye!